Monster Hunter Rise has been out for over a week now, and I am absolutely loving it. I've put in over 120 hours so far, and I've also been browsing Reddit and Discord channels in between hunts in hope of helping out new players by answering whatever questions they might have. But a lot of the same questions kept being asked again and again, so I figured I'd make a video covering some of them, as well as some random things I thought might be useful to new players, and maybe even some veterans of the series. So without further ado, let's get things started.
It's Crunchy Brown, yeah!
So we'll kick things off with eating. Eating will increase your health and stamina, as well as give you several buffs depending on the ingredients you choose, so ideally you'll pick ingredients that synchronize well with the weapon you're using. Meals can be paid for with Zenny or Village points, but this has no effect on the meal itself, so it just boils down to personal preference. Now since I'm using a hammer, I'll be using Dongo Slugger for easier KOs, Dongo Fighter to decrease my stamina depletion, and Dongo Booster, which gives me an attack and defense boost for what seems like roughly 10 minutes from the start of the quest. I also use a Dongo ticket to increase my chances of the buffs activating, as they aren't always guaranteed. And I'll be teaching you how to get the Dongo tickets later on. Now as you can see, I've gotten all 3 buffs, which is perfect. And if you look at the top of the screen next to where it says Depart, you'll notice a little Dongo icon. This lets you know that you've eaten, in case you forget. Now once you're in a quest, there is a tent at every camp, and entering them gives you access to your item box, your equipment loadout, meaning you can swap weapons and armor freely, and the same goes for switch skills. You can also access your buddy board and eat in case you forgot to do so before leaving the village. I thought this might be useful information for newer players, as I've read some comments online from people saying that they've abandoned quests after forgetting something at the village, but worry not, the camp's got your back. So just how do you get Dongo tickets? While they are sometimes awarded as quest rewards, the easiest method is by visiting a canteen and ordering a motley mix. Here you can exchange ingredients for one type of item as well as a mystery item. Upon completing the exchange though, speaking to Yomogi will net you some Dongo tickets. Well, let's just go ahead and choose the blue mushroom here. I'll trade in, let's say, 42 of these, or 52. We'll pay with money or points, doesn't really matter. I'll go with points in this case. And I'll skip over this little cutscene. She'll give me the bento box. As you can see, I've gotten 73 herbal medicines, as well as 2 herbal powders for that exchange. And once I leave the canteen, Yomogi will have some yellow text for me, meaning she's got something important to say. And once I speak to her, she'll reward me with Dongo tickets. Now, I'm not sure if there is a item to Dongo ticket ratio. There doesn't really seem to be. It kind of seems random to me, but if I'm incorrect, please let me know in the comments section. How to choose which buddy to bring with you on multiplayer hunts. So only the buddy in the number 1 slot will join you for online quests. So if I want to switch Chopper for Shanks, I just have to select the buddy 1 slot, go to Palamutes, and then select Shanks. Now we back out by pressing the B button and we'll get a loading screen. And now if you look at the right side of the screen, you'll see Shanks is now buddy 1 and Chopper is now buddy 2. Now if I want to reverse that, I'll just go through the same process, but I'll choose Palicos instead of Palamutes since Chopper is a cat, and put him in the number 1 slot. And there you have it. That's how you choose which buddy to bring with you on multiplayer hunts. This can be done at any buddy board and even during a quest at any one of the camps. The Kahoot Nest. This is a bit of a secret unless you've done some exploring around Kamura Village, so I'll show you guys where it is and what it does. All you'll have to do is climb the large tree next to Feline Chief Kogarashi, and you'll find a Kahoot Nest at its summit where you can begin to gather items. Now, while items do regenerate after each quest, there is a limit to how many the nest can hold, so make sure to visit it regularly. I usually swing by after completing about 5 quests or so. Unfortunately, the game doesn't offer any form of voice chat, so you'll have to refer to outside sources such as Discord for that. However, it does feature USB keyboard support. Just plug one in and press the Enter key, type in your message, and then press Alt and Enter at the same time to send. Some hunters have been wondering where to find their DLC. Add-ons purchased from the eShop, deluxe edition content, or even freebies that Capcom occasionally sends our way have to be claimed from Senri the Mailman. Once you speak to him, go to the Add-on Content tab, and he'll show you what DLC you haven't claimed yet. Make sure to select anything that isn't grayed out, and you'll gain access to it immediately. Some people have been asking how to decorate their homes, so I figured I'd go over that. Trinkets are little sculptures that can be obtained by finding artifacts known as old messages, which are scattered around each area in the game. There are 12 per area for a grand total of 60, and you're awarded a trinket by the merchant for every 5 that you obtain. Some of them can also be won via the lottery, which happens whenever there's a sale going on, but winning these is entirely luck-based. Now, I won't be posting artifact locations in this video since that's not the point of the video, and there's already a bunch of guides online showing you where they can be found. Scrolls can also be obtained under the Special Goods tab at the Argosy in exchange for points once certain conditions are met. You'll unlock each monster's respective scroll once you've hunted them 10 times. Additionally, some scrolls are tied to story progression. Unfortunately, you can only hang one of these up at a time, which is a shame since I prefer these over photos. Komura Village's sneakiest resident is named Fukushigi the Informant, and you can find him by walking up to the scroll in your room and interacting with it. Now, he doesn't really do anything of importance, but he is kind of a source of lore and can give you some funny information about certain villagers. Next up, I'll be talking about the Argosy and the Meowcenaries, but I won't really be going into too much detail about how they function. Instead, I'll be focusing on unique materials that can only be obtained by using them. A lot of people have been asking how to forge certain sets, such as the Scalda armor, the Chaos armor, and the Shell-studded armor. Now, the Argosy and Meowcenaries are essentially ways for you to obtain materials without having to actually do anything. So every time you return from a quest, the Meowcenaries and Argosy will have more items for you. However, you can choose to get some unique items, and I'll show you guys how. For the Argosy, when choosing which items you want to send your buddies out to gather, pay attention to the yellow text on the right side of the screen. These are items unique to the Argosy that have a chance of being gathered along with whatever item you choose. So for example, sending buddies out to gather honey also has a chance of netting you some dream shells. Once you take these items and they're added to your inventory, armor that can be crafted with them will appear at the smithy. For the Meowcenaries, you unfortunately won't have any yellow text to help you out. However, unique items will be marked by a purple shine. So, for example, the bottom route here gives me a chance at getting Shade Shrooms, and having those in my item box will unlock the Chaos armor set at the smithy. I know this because I've sent my buddies out to gather all the shiny purple drops, but unlike the Argosy, I don't believe the game lets you know what the drops will be ahead of time. That being said, I'm not going to go over all the available drops and which armors they unlock, because I do want to encourage people to try and find out on their own. So this portion of the video was really just to inform you guys that there are unique items and armor that you can only obtain by going through the Meowcenaries and the Argosy. If you ever find yourself in need of some quick cash, items that have descriptions along the lines of useless to hunters or fetches a good price serve no purpose other than to be sold. So make sure to check your item box every now and again, as you might be sitting on a pile of Zenny. To sell items, simply go to your item box and select the Manage Items tab, followed by the Sell Items tab, and then select the items you'd like to sell. I'll be going over awards and guild cards next. So awards are essentially Monster Hunter's version of achievements or trophies. They don't actually do anything, but they give completionists something to aim for. These awards can be viewed by going into your guild card, so just press Start, go to the 4th tab, hit View under Guild Card, and you'll have access to a bunch of information about your hunter, such as the number of hunts you've completed with each weapon type, monster sizes, how many of each monster you've hunted and how many you've captured, as well as other information that you can customize to let other hunters know a little more about you. Now, I know their names can be misleading and it will let some of you down, but I assure you these aren't actual gear or items. They're just the game's way of patting you on the back for doing things like finding all the artifacts, earning 1,000,000 Zenny, or completing 50 quests in each of the areas. Alright, that about does it for village stuff, so let's start things off with something simple: sliding. You can slide on the ground in certain sections of most maps. Your character will go into a stumbling animation and automatically go into the slide. However, you can cancel the stumble animation by pressing the B button to roll, and you'll go into the slide immediately. Doing an aerial roll will also start a slide upon landing. This keeps your movement looking and feeling as smooth as possible. Another thing I want to show off while we're here is the ping system. This is useful during online hunts as it can be used as a very simplistic means of communication. Unfortunately, other actions such as an assist palico putting down a trap use the same sound, so it can be a little confusing at times. And to perform this action, you'll just have to bring up your map, so hold the minus or select button and then press it again to ping your location. Now this can be spammed, so try not to annoy your team. This next tip will save you tons of time throughout the course of your playthrough. You can fast travel to different camps in each area by finding new campsites and completing quests given to you by the merchant in Komura. Upon completing these quests, you'll be able to fast travel by holding the minus or select button on your controller, pressing A, and then selecting which camp you would like to travel to. There are 2 to 3 camps per area, including the one you start with, so make sure to explore each map thoroughly. It is by far the fastest way of moving around each area, and it's especially useful for cutting monsters off when they decide to run away, or quickly getting back into the action after carting, since the game will always send you back to the starting camp. It's also worth noting that fast traveling can be done during rampage quests. Now I know I said we were done with the village, but fast traveling isn't just limited to hunts. You can access every area in Komura with lightning speed using the same method. However, going to and from the training area takes a bit more loading time. This is due to the training area being separate from the village itself. The radial menu is incredibly useful, so I highly recommend you all get familiar with it. Think of it as a customizable shortcut for just about everything, from crafting to poses to buddy commands and even using items. In this example, I've set Mega Potions to this spot in my radial menu in Shortcut 1, and as you can see, I'm able to instantly access my Mega Potions by holding the left bumper and moving my C-stick in the direction I set them to without having to fiddle through my inventory. It can also be used to sharpen your weapon while it's unsheathed. And it's absolutely crucial for gunning, as it lets you refill your ammo supply in the heat of battle, so long as you've got the necessary materials in your item pouch to craft the ammo in question. It can even be used to make more traps, so you can put one down immediately after a monster breaks out of the previous one, so long as you've got the materials to keep it going. You can even use it to call your palico while running to catch a ride without having to stop. It's also worth mentioning that you can set certain shortcuts to your D-pad, although the options are more limited compared to the radial menu. To do so, hit Start or plus on your controller, go to the last tab and select Action Bar. Though limited, it does have its uses. For example, here's me accessing the quest board without being anywhere near the hub. Rock lizards are endemic life who drop armor spheres when you run up and kick them. But did you know that throwing kunai at them can net you 3 drops instead of 1? Now we all know that monster attacks can be blocked if your weapon has some way of shielding, but the same goes for their roars. Even better, these same roars can be countered, so use this to your advantage whenever possible if your weapon allows it. Whenever a monster goes to sleep, stop attacking it and assess the situation as a team. The first hit you land on a sleeping monster will have its damage doubled, so try to set up with some barrel bombs and have whoever can deliver the most devastating attack wake it up. In this example, I position myself so that my Wyvern ammo shot hits Magnum Hollow before it hits the barrels, as I want the shot's damage to be doubled, not the damage from the explosions. And here, my hunting partner hits the Mizutsune right before my blast goes off, so you can see how much of a difference in damage it can make. Next is quite possibly the most important bit of information in this entire video. I'll be showing you guys 3 movement options that can prevent you from carting. First off, we'll start with diving, aka the Superman dive. To initiate this move, simply run in a direction facing away from the monster and press the B button. Your hunter will be 100% invulnerable during this animation until they get up off the floor, meaning you can literally go through incoming attacks. The Leap of Faith armor skill also extends your dive distance and allows you to dive towards monsters. While there are some exceptions, most attacks can be avoided by just staying on the ground after getting hit. To do this, just don't press anything after being knocked down. I know it might sound crazy, but sometimes doing nothing is the best option. Now your hunter will eventually get up on their own after staying on the ground for an extended period of time, so try to time your get-ups so that you don't wake up into an attack. In this example, I'll take a hit from Mizitsune and stay down to avoid its jump attack. Then once I get up, I Superman dive to avoid the follow-up attack, and this gives me an opening to run away and heal. Last but definitely not least, we've got wire falling. You can perform a wire fall after getting hit by holding ZL in whichever direction you want to go in and then pressing the B button. Just be mindful of your timing and positioning as you can wire fall into another attack. Basically, this allows you to reposition freely after getting hit at the cost of a single wire bug, making it a godlike option. And for those of you wondering, but Crunchy, just how useful can this really be? Well, wire falling means the difference between this and this. So make sure to master it quickly. For this next section, I'll be going over some fun ways to interact with the game's wildlife and environment, as well as some mechanics that are unique to certain monsters. We'll start things off with pincer crabs in the sandy plains. You can find these little guys latched on to different walls throughout the map, and if you hit them or shoot them, they'll start shooting rocks at the nearest monster. They might not do much damage, but they can sometimes make monsters flinch, which can be extremely useful in a pinch. The game does tell you about this one in the Hunter's Notes, but I figured I'd mention it anyway. Throwing sonic bombs at Diablos when they're digging underground will force them out and give you an opening to attack. But be careful not to waste all your sonic bombs, as this only works when they aren't enraged. You can tell when a Diablos is enraged by the black smoke coming out of its mouth. Areas 9 and 10 of the Sandy Plains contain stone pillars in them which can be broken by monsters or explosives such as barrel bombs. Once broken, the quicksand beneath them acts as a pitfall trap if monsters walk over it. In this example, I've used a stink mink to lure the Diablos towards me and into the sand trap. This next one's exclusive to the Flooded Forest. Now you may have noticed fish jumping out of the water in certain areas. These little guys are called Gaganas, and if you drop raw meat in the water near them, they'll swarm around it and deal minimal damage in an area of effect. The Gaganas do have a cooldown timer tied to them to avoid spamming, so once a certain amount of time goes by, you'll be able to summon them again. I do recommend being careful with this trick, as the swarm can cause knockback to you and your teammates. Here's another quick tip exclusive to the Flooded Forest while we're here. Climbing these steps or even riding your Palamute to get up can be very slow, but you can actually run up the slopes on either side of them to quickly make your way to the top. Now we'll be moving on over to the lava caverns, where I'll be talking about echo bats and vents. Echo bats can be found throughout the area, and if a monster touches them, they'll stick to them and essentially afflict them with blast blight. Attacking a monster with echo bats attached to them will cause a one-time explosion and often leads to flinching. Vents, on the other hand, are found on walls and are either marked as red or blue depending on whether they contain water or magma. Ramming a mounted monster into them leads to bonus damage, however you will be forced to dismount regardless of how many wire bugs you have left, so they're best left for last. In this example, I've mounted Basarios, I've got 2 stacks of echo bats on him, and I'm going to ram him into a magma vent. I should also mention that the damage caused by everything I've shown off so far scales depending on whether you're in a high rank or low rank quest. This explains why the low rank Basarios I was mounted on takes 167 damage from the magma, whereas this high rank Rajang ends up taking over 1000 damage. Some people have been asking why a small red bar has been appearing above their health bar. This is caused by an endemic life known as a lantern bug. Picking one off a wall grants you a form of body armor, where taking damage will cause the red bar to deplete before your health bar is affected. Additionally, monsters who hit you will take a small amount of damage. Some monsters are immune to certain traps under specific conditions, so I'll go over a few of them. For example, while shock traps can work on Rajang, using them when he's enraged will lead to the monkey crushing your puny little gadget. You'll know it's enraged when its arms are glowing red. It's important to know that you should focus your attacks on its tail to snap it out of its rage. And as if that wasn't annoying enough, Rajang is also immune to pitfall traps when it's not enraged. Then we have Zinogre. Shock traps have no effect on this monster when it's enraged. In fact, they'll just deactivate upon making contact with it. You'll know Zinogre is enraged when its fur stands up and glows blue. Now, if ever you're looking to net yourself some extra materials, here's another mechanic that's unique to Zinogre. Put your weapon away after knocking it on its side and you can gather drops off of its back. Don't get too greedy though. You can only gather 3 drops per hunt this way. On the opposite side of things, Nargacuga won't fall into pitfall traps unless it's enraged. You'll know it's angry when its eyes glow red and leave a trail behind as it moves around. While Magnamalo isn't immune to any traps, it is the only monster who can afflict you with Hellfire Blight. This is a negative status effect which can be identified by a purple flame on your hunter's body. If you get hit while it's active, you'll take additional damage, or if a certain amount of time goes by without you removing it, the flame will eventually turn pink and explode on its own, causing damage. It can be removed by using the deodorant item or rolling multiple times, but the best method to remove it is to wire dash. Wire dashing will remove the flame from your body and leave it wherever you were when you initiated the dash. Once the flame bursts, it will cause a guaranteed knockdown as well as a small amount of damage to any nearby monsters. That's right, you can use Hellfire Blight against Magnamalo. The knockdown can be repeated, however the threshold grows each time a monster is hit, meaning you'll have to trigger it multiple times for a second knockdown. Also worth noting, the Hellfire Cloak level 3 armor skill will afflict you with Hellfire Blight whenever a monster is enraged, so make sure to use this to your advantage. Alright hunters, that does it for this video. Now whether you're a new player to the series or an old timer like myself, I really hope I was able to teach you a thing or two. But let me know if there's anything else you'd like me to go over in the comments section, and I might do a part 2 since there's just so much information to go through in this game. I could have kept going for much longer, but I didn't want the video to drag on. That being said, a like and subscribe would be super appreciated. I'll also have links to my Twitter, Discord, and Twitch channels in the description, so check me out on those too. And feel free to ask me any questions about the game or join in if you ever catch me streaming. I'll catch you guys next time, and I wish you the best of luck on your hunts.